Now then, people, it's Joe or Leeds TV, and it's time for your Aston Villa preview. A little bit later than normal, but as per, I like to wait for the press conference, hear any sort of injury news, all that sort of jazz. And what a press conference it's been. Lots to digest, and I know I put a little tweet out on Twitter, and a lot of you guys have replied, so I'm going to go through them in a bit as well. It was quite, for me, a little bit depressing, I'm not going to lie. I came out of work and had a read through, and I felt a little bit on the floor after it. But we'll touch on that a little bit later on. Let's look at what we've got coming on Sunday. Huge game. And for me, regardless of what happens on Saturday, we have to get a positive result. We have to go into the playoffs with some form behind us, and to ultimately lay down a marker. Listen, for me, it's highly likely that if we do make it to the final, if we do keep third and we do beat sixth, that we could meet Villa. I do fancy Villa to beat West Brom over 2 legs. But listen, this is the Championship. Anything can happen. But it is a huge game, and for me, playoffs it is. Now, crazy things have happened. You know, a lot of people have there's a lot of stuff going around Facebook, Twitter, on your socials. It's not over, which ultimately it's not. And look, a 10-man Wigan side who came to Ellen Road and hadn't won since August, beat the best team at home, 2-1. So things can happen, and you never know. Ipswich could get a result. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. For me, it is the playoffs. Now, onto the game itself. Dallas is going to be playing left back. I thought he did okay when he came on against Brentford personally, and he has done okay in parts of the season. I would have preferred Leif Davis just because I ultimately wanted changes. I think it needed freshening up. The Bielsa way though, it probably isn't going to be. And with Alioski out, Leif Davis is also out. Dallas is gonna come in at left back. I wanted to see KP back in. The fact that Adam Forshaw's done the press conference, and Bielsa's a big fan of Forshaw, I think Forshaw might retain his place in the CDM role, which for me isn't the right decision. And that's no slight on Forshaw. I just think he's better further up the pitch. And look, I just can't see him dropping Click. Maybe that's why Forshaw's in there. Maybe KP comes in and he drops Click and gives him a rest, and that's why Forshaw's there. But I think reading between the lines, I fancy Forshaw to start. For me, I'd go KP. And also Roof's out. Big miss for me, because I would have liked to have seen Roof start ahead of Bamford. Bamford, for me, yes, his goal-to-game ratio is decent, but he should have had a hatful. I know Conor's touched on it in his preview. Ultimately, he should have scored a lot more goals than what he has. If we look at the Reading game, if we look at opportunities, even at Preston, for example, when he got to, he could have had a third and probably should have. And for me, against this Aston Villa defence, Patrick Bamford struggles, in all honesty, and it worries me. Mings, I can't pronounce his name, Tuzanabe, that's my stab at it. So I think he struggles against a strong Aston Villa defence, and that does worry me, based on recent performances that Patrick Bamford has shown. And listen, they're a team full of top Championship operators. You look through their side, you could just reel some of the names off. Codger's there. I don't think Tammy Abraham makes it. McGinn, Whelan, Mings, and that boy Jack Grealish, who is on fire at the moment. Absolutely quality. He's been involved in 11 goals in just 15 games. He's scored 6 goals and has 5 assists to his name. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think Dean Smith's made him captain, and since he's come back into the side from his layoff or his injury, he's just totally galvanised Villa and changed them as an outfit. And look, they're unbeaten in 11 games. That's a hard feat for anyone in this division. They're unbeaten in 11 and they've won 10 in a row, and that's a record for them. 10 games in a row in this division is no mean feat, and they can, if they were to win on Sunday, they'd become the first team since Fulham in 2000 to 2001 to win 11 in a row. So they are chasing that. Us, on the other hand, we haven't lost 3 games in a row since November 2017 under TC. And listen, I would hope that we would bounce back under Bielsa. I know it's really poor at the moment and everyone seems to be on the floor, but I'm hoping for a positive response from the boys. Look, the one thing going for us, Villa are winless in 5 games at Ellen Road, drawing 3 and losing 2. Now I know, obviously sometimes when I read stats, I know a lot of people don't like them, or, you know, this is Leeds United we're talking about, but hopefully that is a good omen that Villa are winless in 5 games now at Ellen Road. I don't want to put out a prediction, just because they haven't been going well of late, and I just can't call it if I'm totally honest. It's going to go one or two ways. We're going to put in a decent performance, and it's going to be tight, maybe 2-1, 1-1. Or it could go the other way and Villa could beat us comfortably. And that's really hard for me to say. You know, I'm very positive. I'm just really nervous. And you know, we need to get a positive result. We have to get a positive result. And I think we're all thinking, is it just gonna fade away? And we're owed so much more. As the players are owed so much more. Bielsa, us as fans are owed so much more than it to just fade away in a damp squib, you know, and that is my real concern, that it is going to happen, and I'm just pleading with the footballing gods, anybody, you know, that we can get a positive result and go into the playoffs with some renewed vigour. You know, I am really nervous, I'm not going to lie, I'm really nervous for the fixture. I mean, if we look at the reverse fixture, what a time. I remember my post-match after that, you know, doubt us now, I was convinced, you know, it was a huge result. And we were flying at that point, weren't we, you know, and we beat Sheffield United not long after, and how things have, you know, quickly turned round in just two games really. Easter period has absolutely pulverised us. But listen, it's not over until the fat lady sings, and hopefully we can get a positive result. Now, another reason that I'm starting to feel like this, a lot of it's to do with that press conference. I touched on it earlier. It depressed me a little bit, I'm not going to lie. It sort of put me on the floor, and I'll touch on reasons why. Obviously, Marcelo Bielsa refused to comment on his future. It has set people worrying. Not for me. Bielsa, regardless of if he knows he's going to stay, he's never going to comment on his future. He's just not that guy, especially while the season's ongoing. He's just not that guy. There was, you know, he mentioned the transfers. For me, the club did all they can. I know a lot of people disagree. I know there's stuff on forums that, you know, he was after, you know, he didn't get the players he wanted, i.e. Harvey Barnes and stuff. I know there is a lot of difference of opinion. There's the Dan James deal. Some say Swansea messed it up. Some say Leeds should have put up the money when it was there. And they seemed to dawdle, and there was no plan B if the Dan James deal fell through, which ultimately it did. But Bielsa was happy with the transfer dealings, and he was happy ultimately with how the club dealt with it. And he said himself, and I have to agree with him, regardless of the transfers, we still should have been in that top two. And I think we all have to agree with that. I mean, form since Christmas has absolutely hammered us, Easter period, but ultimately, you know, we've had decent gaps over third, and we've sort of thrown it away. And yes, bodies matter, reinvigorate us, but ultimately, regardless if anyone comes in, we still should have finished in that top two. It seems mad sort of like discussing this with 2 games still left to go, but I think a lot of it is due to the fact that we all see playoffs now, and as probably the only possibility for us to go up. I can't see Ipswich getting a positive result against Sheffield United. But my main concern with the press conference was comments from Bielsa. Now, basically he said the individual players that this season, and we all know they've played well above themselves. You know, it's the same team, bar a few additions, that finished the season with Heckingbottom. And he basically came out and said, look, these individual players will not produce such consistent performances in another season again. Okay? He believes him and his staff have pushed this squad to their maximum level, which is hard to argue with, which is what Phil's added on. And I agree with that. It is hard to argue with the fact that he's turned some of these players this season, you know, to be playing at levels above where they were previously, or where they may be in the future. But I think it didn't need to be said now, and this is just my take on it, and that's why I put it out to you guys to get your take on it. But the way I interpret that, it's like saying to them, look, this is your last chance, because next season, you ain't got it. You're not going to be anywhere near. Now, and that for me is not good for the players mentally at this moment in time. Other people might look at it and say, and a lot of people have, and I'll touch on theirs, they might say he's done it to galvanise them. Or has he done it as he sent it as a shot in the arm to Rads, as if to say, look, if you want me to be here, we need to invest, because this team ultimately isn't good enough. And if that's what it is, are the players interpreting it that way? Or is he saying we're not good enough to be in next season? And that's my worry, you see. It's thrown a lot of it up in the air. And has actually now, for me, brought me a little bit down. Like, I'm really nervous for the game on Sunday, and if the boys will perform, and that's why I put it out. I put it out there because I was unsure, and I've spoke to the All Leeds TV guys to get their take on it and what they thought. And I'm going to read some of your comments out as well. So Baldyman1965 on Twitter basically said, this season has been a one-off. Incoming's needed to go any further, and that's what he takes from that. But that surely can't be good for the players. Lee.ds, so at Andy Old Sport, said he's saying that the players have overachieved, they've gone beyond anybody's expectations, and they've given everything. For every single one of them to do that again will be mentally and physically impossible. Also think it's a backhanded warning to Rads. Yeah, fair enough, but what does that do for the players mentally now, going into the game, knowing we've still got the playoffs? At Cycling Johnny says exactly the same. Maybe it's a prod to Rad Razani for players in the summer. Mick Zanetti, a fan of the channel, he said, it's classic, mate. This is Bielsa, pure genius. The best reverse psychology I've ever seen. This will surely stoke the fires in the player's belly. Bring it on. Will it do that? That's what I mean. And that's why I wanted to go through some of these comments, so that you can give your take in the comments below as well. Pass it to Pablo on Twitter basically says, Bielsa looks like a man who has lost faith and knows he can't take the team. It knows he can take it only so far. Doesn't make me feel confident that he will stay. If he does, he needs big backing and to bring in big players. Not a nice confidence boost for the lads going into Sunday. And that's my take on it as well. Northants White, I think this has been lost in translation. And I know Claudio feels the same as well. And what I put to you then, if that has been lost in translation, what did he mean? What did he mean? Paul Rooney, it's been a slog of a season with many injuries, but I honestly feel that 80% of the games we've lost, we've been good enough to win. 100% I agree with that. We've never won the playoffs, but I'm confident that we will. Bielsa has broken so many hoodoos at our club, and as another in his locker. Paul Brunton says he reads it as he wants more quality in the summer. Can't see his leaving. He says can't see him leaving, as White say it's not up to me. Yeah, I suppose there is that. I mean, I'm not too concerned about him leaving at this moment in time. But if you're saying he's wanting more quality in the summer, which, again, that's what a lot of people have gleaned from it, why say it now? Why say it now when we've still got 2 games to go? When there's, the massive, 1 million chance that Ipswich could get a result, or we're going into the playoffs. Why does he need to say it now? And I just think it's poor timing from me. Zandra Lapole basically said he felt the same as me, really did. Could be mind games, but he doesn't do that, does he? That's what I'm saying. I don't think it is. Liam Horsley, a fan of the channel, top lad, said clearly realised it was in our hands for so long and looks like he wants this weekend over to confirm playoffs and refocus the squad onto that. Paul O'Connor says, although I don't agree with him saying what he said today, maybe he feels he's tried every method to motivate them in recent weeks, and this is a last-ditch attempt at giving them a big collective kick up the arse to go out there and prove him wrong. And I do hope you're right. SJ Wilson does some stuff on YouTube. Make sure you check him out, top guy. Basically said, first time in his tenure he's questioning Bielsa's belief. The guy looks like he's given up. And I think a lot of people have got that from that press conference. He looks so down. And I know a lot of people are saying it's reverse psychology, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I'm not saying anyone's wrong or right. It's how you interpret it. And the fact that we're having this conversation and everyone has different interpretations, for me, that means the players do as well. So you're going to have some bodies in there that are going to be reinvigorated by it. You're going to have some that'll be like, oh man, I might not even be here next season. And that's why, for me, just my opinion, it didn't need to be said. didn't need to be said, especially ahead of such a big game. Because if we were just playing Ipswich and, say, a mid-table team, you know, maybe not so much. But for me, because we're playing Villa, who are on a massive run, we need to lay down a marker. Because trust me, they'll want to turn around that 3-2 result. They'll be hurt by that. Dean Smith was hurt by that. If you remember his comments, they celebrated like they won the league. He would love nothing more the fact that we're missing out on the top two to come and also put a win and even dampen our spirits even more. So it's such a huge game for both sides. But hopefully we can get a positive result. And you know, fingers crossed. Like I said, I don't want to give him a prediction, but I'm just pleading that we can get a positive result, get the season back on track and be ready for the playoffs. But I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. And let me know what you think in the comments. All Leeds our way, marching on together. Come on, Leeds. Leeds, Leeds, Leeds.